Got on the everybody. How are y'all? Lovely day.
Oh, look, I am home. I am.
Yep.
Although this doesn't look familiar to anyone, I'm sure.
We haven't seen it in so long. Everybody forgot what it looked. It's like you might have did a little remodeling or clean it up. Did you come home?
Well, I'm actually at a different angle, so my
Oh,
wood is over this way.
I,
That's
I
normally
like
my backdrop.
I like the angle. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like the angle. Oh, Beaver, seen your question a while ago. I tried to respond. For some reason, it wouldn't let me do it until I started the live. But if it's going to be outside, I would recommend using cedar or excuse me, just ate supper. I would recommend using cedar or cypress, and then to seal it, I would try to get a clear, like a weather resistant sealer. A lot of times I just use like Thompson's water seal or something like that. It works really well. Uh, but you got to let whoever you make it for know that about every year or two they may want to take and recoat it because the sunlight doesn't do good things to wood if it's out in the extreme sun. So, hello, Jack. Hello, Sharon. Try to scroll through here, see who all's in here. If I can get my mouse to quit messing up on me.
got Nancy from Florida. I hope it's not as windy as it was when I was there last week. That was something else.
It was like that here too.
Well,
Hello, Chris.
I felt like I drove home into wind the whole time. So I think it was most of the U.S. was just in wind the whole last good part of last week.
Yeah, we finally actually got some seasonal normal weather here yesterday. And guys, the mini split. Oh my goodness! Don't even get me started. It is a nice 73.9 degrees in here right now. So it is making my life a lot nicer. And for
Well,
you guys that didn't know, there's a new there's some new construction back there. We'll try to get a video out of it, but I have been busy trying to get all my air assist hooked back up and doing a little cleanup on the workstation. See if I can get it to show. Yeah, look at that. Look, my workstation's not as cluttered as it once was. When I rebuilt that, I gave myself about another foot and a half of space. The new enclosure is 36 by 32, so hopefully anything that I get in the shop will be able to fit in there. So it's much better. Talk about tool paths. There you go. There's your topic. Tool paths. That's like one of my favorite parts of LightBurn. I use them a lot.
okay. What do you like to do with them?
Oh, well, in file design, like let's say if I'm designing something to have, like I say, a box, and then I can use that. I built a little caliber holder today, so I can actually kind of draw a shape, the shape of whatever it is that I'm trying to build for, and then use that to just kind of fit check everything in the virtual world. Also, I use it a lot in building my jigs because that is when you're building a jig for something that you're going to cut 10 or 15 or 20 of, you can take that tool line and throw that out there and actually use it as a go by to frame the outer perimeter of the workpiece. And you don't have to, have a line or whatever. And then when you drop a graphic into that design, you can actually use that tool line and use the bullseye button to place it specifically in the center and take all the guesswork out of it. And so that's tool lines in jigs are priceless because it like I said, it will show you exactly where the piece is if you frame it properly, and then you can still use that for centering. And then when I'm building my jigs for machines, when I measure the leg spacing or whatnot, I make a square box that has that spacing and kind of use that as a reference during the build. So It's they're very useful when you need to have like a reference during designing or like centering. Like if you've got a certain spot that you want text to be in, that tool line just makes it easy because it's like click, click, center. You know, so I think once you start using them a lot, I think you'll understand, or people will understand. I know you use them, but yeah, that's my take on it. I mean, do you angle? Is there another reason why you would use them?
No, I mean you kind of hit on the tool area for the major ones, and for that alignment stuff, that's one of the things I wish was a feature was instead of just the tool area. If they would allow me to do guides like you do in other design software, where you can drag a guide down from your ruler and then key off of certain areas. That's one feature I would love to see Lightburn implement, but you can do similar things with the tool. So you set up a box that's a certain size that gives you an offset down, 3 inches and over 4 inches, and so from one corner to the other it works that way. Or like you mentioned, you can set the working area. Yeah, so it, it's a nice thing about Lightburn. It's a ever evolving piece of software, and that's why I don't mind paying for the updates every year. Is they're
Yeah,
usually coming out with new features that I find useful. So
yeah. I wish they sold like a lifetime license. Would be that
yeah,
would be a good deal.
yeah.
Let's see. Pure Pure Bond quarter. I can't say I'm familiar with it.
Uh,
Is that some
so
that's some
Home Depot
Maynard's
sells a lot
plywood?
of that. No, it's stuff that Home Depot uh, tends to sell Pure Bond stuff. Um, and they have a few different grades of it. Some of it's stocked in store. It's not terrible. And then they have a few varieties where you can get, I think, a few varieties of hardwood veneer on them and such. So I've used it in some of my cabinet builds and such. Nothing to do with lasers and such, but it's decent stuff.
Yep. For those asking, yes, there's a new enclosure in the house. See if I can get this camera to cooperate with me with this little narrow screen. There she blows right there. That's the new enclosure. Uh, it is. Hang on, swapping cameras here. Trying
It's
to
me.
see it. Never lets me do. There we go. So there it is right there. I extended the counter, redid my work area, added some shelving down under the bottom for some wood storage. That was wasted space before. And guys, there's a new machine in that enclosure. There's been some promotions and some demotions around the Clack Shack. So uh, just for y'all that keep up with it, there have been some promotions in the shop. I'll put it to you this way: the machine that is in that enclosure has autofocus and a fully automated Z-axis, and so far it's working pretty well. Now that adjusting the focus takes some getting used to because you'll crash it if you're not careful.
So is that
Uh,
their two trees one?
yep, the Two Trees TS, and somebody had me doubting myself, and I shouldn't have listened. But when I did my video, the guy got on there and said that the workspace was 450 by 450. So I got thinking, I'm like, well, maybe I was wrong. So I went to Two Trees' website. They say that it's 450 by 450 as well. So I came back out to the shop. I set it at 450 by 450. I set it to go to uh, 0 and 448, and it wall crashed. So I don't. I'm guessing they're saying that the hole is 450 by 450, but you cannot move the laser head but 410 by 410. It crashes at 412. So you've got to stay 410 by 410, which is still an increase over the machine that it replaced. But the other machine really made me angry because I run a lot of wood this week because the cable kept dragging across it and grabbing my material. And so I just went ahead and bit the bullet. built a new enclosure and put the 2 trees in there. The Atom Stack A30 will fit also, and any machine up to 36 by 32 should fit in there. I haven't really set it up for any one particular machine right now because I'm tired of testing machines on the table. So I'm gonna start trying to do some of it in there if I can. But yeah, it's working. It's working good. The 2 trees it surprised me. I'm gonna try to do another project video with it, but like I said, all this construction kind of had me tied up, and then of course the grass is growing again. So it's either cut the grass or go buy $20 worth of diesel fuel and just spray the whole yard. And wife didn't like that idea. So
Just get some goats.
well, I don't know that I want goats just like all up against my house. Not that redneck.
Come on, it's good for the
Oh,
environment. They all eat on that underbrush that gets in your woods as well too.
little
So,
known fact: goats like to climb on cars too. Did you
well,
know that?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I don't have
I
goats.
would. Yeah, not gonna have one in my yard like that.
So your
But
2 trees laser, that's got the cable chain on there, so that solves your material dragging problem, and it's slightly larger. Now, do they have an extension for that one that you'll be able to take that up to
well,
32-ish or 36-ish?
well, and me and Brandy had that discussion, and because I guess she's my business consultant, but I got hit with the perfect storm this past week. Everything I've got like 5 more jobs on the board over there, and every job I've got hit with this past couple of weeks has been something that requires a 30-inch work area. Uh, that's not going to happen often, I hope. So I don't really want to give up the room and have to build another just massive enclosure if I can help it. So I'm going to take my chances. And it's like I told her, if it starts hitting me too hard, it may get to the point to where, maybe I go get something that has its own enclosure if I keep getting those big jobs just slammed like that. But no, I'm gonna keep the enclosure Zilla and whatever extended machine I decide, and then I'm gonna have the other one. I'm just gonna keep a square machine there. I don't think I want to go through the space taking up all that room for 2 big extended machines. But
Sure,
we'll
sure.
see. I mean, because like I said, it was a perfect storm. May hit me hard with those things I was doing for her, and then I outsourced a small job to Klein, and then I had some other jobs come in too. Those big letters that I've been doing. It's graduation time here, and I've gotten in with a lady that is like a party planner. I guess you could. That's the best way to explain it. She does like balloon arches and decorates for parties and stuff like that. And she found me, and she has been wearing me out with these 36-inch names or 35-inch names. So, so yeah, it's just a perfect storm. I think I'm gonna just wait and see what happens. But yeah, I see my wife's in here saying she doesn't like the idea of goats either, Steve.
Well, maybe there's just someone you can borrow them from. That'll bring them over for an hour or two. But
Well, I told her we actually had that conversation this morning. When I retire, so that I got time to chase them and make sure they stay in the pen, I'm going to fence the hill behind the house. Now that you've seen the hill behind the house, I'm going to fence that in, and I'm going to get me a couple of them just to keep it cleaned off, so I hadn't got to fool with it myself.
sure, yeah.
Uh, Somebody asked a question. I saw it, but I'm having a hard time.
Oops. There's this one.
Uh,
Jim's asking about 1/8-inch plywood being slim pickings and where do people find it? Yeah, I would agree. It's hard to find that in your typical big box stores. They generally have it special order if you can't get it, but at that point, I start looking at my hardwood dealers because a lot of them will stock that for cabinet makers that use it for backing and such. So and a lot of times you'll spend the same or maybe even a little bit less through them to get a better quality plywood than you will at, say, Lowe's or Home Depot for that 1/8-inch material. So if you have a hardwood dealer or a lumber, a more of a commercial lumber store, not your home improvement stores and big box stores, call around. They might have Baltic birch. They might have other options in that 1/8-inch material that you can get.
I actually experimented with some of the stuff. I bought extra when I did the ceiling in the shop here, and I got a job the other day that didn't require thicker material, so I used some of it, and it actually worked pretty well. It's just 1/8 inch birch plywood, and it done a good job.
Nice.
It was a lot stronger than I thought it would be, uh, but I just used it for cutout letters. Mike, I can say honestly, after a year and a half, I've joined the club. So today, or was it
Well,
yesterday, or was it yesterday or today that I found that crack? Yesterday, I found that crack
now
lens.
yours was just the cover lens, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he clarified that it says upper lens, the main focusing lens, actually cracked.
That's no good.
So yeah, that's no fun.
Time for a new module.
Well, they may or may not sell that one. I don't know. Some of them allow that.
Steve, Steve, where'd you go, Steve? Oh, guys, uh, I don't know what happened to Steve. He just fell out. Okay. Uh, oh, technology. Yeah, just like that, guys, and he is out of here. Yeah, I did finally crack a external lens though. But this job I've been doing, the total burn time for the whole job was 60 hours. So, and I'd been cleaning it, but it just I've got so many miles on that machine. Camera height for an extended bed enclosure. Guys, that's going to depend a lot on the focal range and the lens type of the camera. Enclosure Zilla over there, if you've watched any of my videos with the camera set up in it, it is a fisheye camera. So with the fisheye camera, I can see the entire bed without having to go really high. And it's probably 20, 21, I think it is, inches. There should be something in my video about the enclosure, but it's like 21 inches above the workspace with the bed all the way up. Now, as you know, with Enclosure Zilla, I can let the bed all the way down. And that puts the camera about 32 inches above the workspace. But, all right, there he is. Here he comes back, guys. Wow, there he is. So what happened? Everybody wants to know.
Um, my my camera hates me.
they said you tripped over a cord.
Well, so I brought a lot of my cables with on my trip, and I have there's one specific USB cable that works to both power and pull data from the camera to the laptop. I'm not sure where I unpacked it, so
Well,
so
your image actually looks a little clearer. I don't know what you did while you were gone.
oh well, I put a different battery in.
Oh, okay. Well, I got that dummy battery. You should look into that. I'll send you a link.
Oh, okay, I probably should. Hopefully, I
Yeah, I've
won't
got
fry the
one.
camera.
It hasn't fried mine yet, which I'm not using the Sony right now. Uh, but yeah, guys, when I burn up my lens, luckily I had some from Steve that I was able to pop one in there. And I know Steve was telling me that some folks were claiming that his lenses don't last. So I'm going to be testing them and see. But so far, I've put probably about 5 hours of continual use on this lens, and it's cutting. It's cutting like a razor blade. So far, so good.
Yeah, I haven't had many, but I've had a few people claim that they only get 2 or 3 jobs out of them and they crack again. And the one I talked to and said, send me some photos, and there was no way they were using air assist. I mean, the whole brass sleeve was just gunked up and everything. I was like, hey, something's wrong in your setup. So
Yeah, a lot of people. I don't know, because people send me pictures sometimes and they're like, "Hey, can you help me troubleshoot my machine?" And so they send me pictures, and when I look at it, I'm like, okay, first of all, it looks a little neglected. It looks as if it was in a house fire. So you're gonna need to do something with that. But yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure why folks I'm a little OCD, and sometimes when I'm really busy, I do kind of stretch it out between cleanings, probably more than I should have, and I think that's what got the lens this time. Was that I did kind of, I mean, I'm trying to turn these things out, and there's a chance that I may have skipped a cleaning or two that was needed.
Yeah,
But
I think it's really the people who are running them hard and running a lot of engravings and such that when you're in that mode and you're trying to get things cranked out, it it's hard to stop to clean it, and you don't realize it just takes a little bit for it to start, and then it builds up quickly. And so those are the people I think have the bigger issues with it. I think your average kind of hobbyist user isn't using it that hard. It's easier to, hey, I should probably clean this because I ran a few jobs. Um, and that's why when people ask, well, how often do you clean a lens? I'm like, that is really a huge, it depends on how hard and how often and the type of jobs you're running. So, but you're right. It's that maintenance. If you put it off, it's going to bite you. So,
oh yeah, and like I said, I'm fairly confident that I'm to blame. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this picture right here, right quick, and you'll see what I'm saying. If I can get my screen share to work, y'all pray that this works. Okay, there you go. Wow, I'm getting good at this. That's my lens right there, and that's not a hole. That's not a crack. It's just a little discoloration, and it was almost it was just heat looked like, and maybe there was a coating on there that come off, but that's the factory uh, Acer P20 lens. But now keep in mind, this is the job I was doing. Oh, wait. Yeah. That's the job I was doing. You see how many pieces there were on that? Yeah, I can't reveal too much, which the hurt people probably aren't watching my live, so I think we're good. But yeah, and this is my new setup. That's during construction, guys. But yeah, the lens, like I said, I can no longer say that I've never killed one. I did kill that one, and it's not. I said it's not a hole per se, but if you zoom way in, you can see that it's kind of deformed the glass, like right there in the center. So yeah, it happens. It happens to us all. But luckily, my buddy Steve had me some lenses out there. I had them already in my toolbox, so it was an easy enough transition to get that guy back. And I was able to finish the job because it was not wanting to cut. I mean, it was like leaving hangs everywhere. So James says they work just fine.
yeah, I've
Oh,
had a lot of people, and Mike before me have had a lot of people using these lenses without issue, and so um, it I'm pretty confident in them. I've used a number. I haven't broken one of mine. I've had a couple end up looking kind of like yours, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna swap them out. So, but
yeah. I mean, when you looked at it, it was just like a little fog. But when you zoom in, that's when you can actually see that it has done something to the material. Uh, but Brian wants to know with the fisheye, can you watch? Yeah, you can watch it, Brian. And let me see if I can pull my other machine up, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's running. You can do all the same things that you can do with a standard lens. Now, without lens correction, the image is going to be, of course, fisheye. That's the name, fisheye. But all together, I like my little, I like my camera, and I'll pull it up and show you what it looks like here. If I can get this to cooperate. While I'm looking, you can try to find another comment if you want.
let's see. Victor's asking if the lens fits the longer Ray 5 or 10 watt. I'm not sure. I don't have one of those to check. So if you have this type that has the sleeve that comes off and you're able to pull that out, the size you're looking for is about 12 and a half to 14 millimeter in diameter and about a millimeter thick. If that's the size of the glass in there, then these should fit in there as well.
I've got a longer array, but it'll take me a minute to get it down and check. So that'll be something I'll have to do later. But here's the view from the camera from inside LightBurn, whoever that was that asked. Brian. So if I can get it to show my screen again. Oh, Steve, you're going to have to give me the room, Steve. All right. So there is that's my screen. And this is what it looks like without uh, the filter from the camera. That's what it looks like when you take an image. So it works well. I like it. The calibration. This camera is probably one of the more consistently accurate cameras I've ever had. But that's what it looks like when you update the overlay. And then this is what it looks like on live view. And I'll show you. You can actually see what's going on in the laser while in LightBurn. So if you were to, take this piece of material here out. So now with the white light out here, it's a little bright with the door open. So, but yeah, that's it. It works. I hope that answers your question there, Brian. Steve's beard. Good evening from Frank. Somebody else was saying we had a good channel. James, if you stick around long enough, guy, you won't think it's quite as great. But we appreciate the compliment anyway.
Let's see. Beaver Creek Farm Life is asking what kind of wood would you use for plaques with a photo? I guess that depends on if you're placing a photo on the wood or if you're engraving the photo into the wood. I might choose different for that. I think Clack is digging something out of the corner of his shop. There we go.
Yes, I am. Well, I got it turned the wrong way. Hang on. Camera's upside down. Dang it. Well, that's cedar. That's one I did for a video. Cedar does really well, the red cedar. Now, the more grain you have, it's gonna interfere with the burn. Cedar does really good. Poplar does really good, as well as mahogany.
So like if you're looking for a lighter color, I would go with, like you say, poplar or maybe basswood if you can find the right size. Otherwise, if you're looking for something a little darker, that's going to work well. Cedar works well, but also cherry is a good one as well.
Did you know that cherry wood tans with sunlight?
It does.
Mm-hmm. If you don't stack it appropriately, you'll figure that out when you go to use it.
But you just sit it out in the sun for a good day or so, and it tends to even out.
Yep. Does LightBurn? Brian, the LightBurn pretty much what you see on the screen. That's what you get for the live view. Now, when you update your overlay, it will do the lens correction based on the calibration that you've done. But a flat lens will not work at that height with an extended machine. So I've got to where I'm running these fisheyes and everything because it's just so much easier. It works either way, whether it's a small base or whether it's a big base. If you can get Amazon to send you the right camera, that's a whole nother nut. You know how they substitute sometimes, right? You ever had that happen?
Rarely, but yeah.
Yeah. Ordered one the other day, got it. It's a flat lens. Same exact model number.
I forget what it was that I ordered one time, and I ended up with a solar panel charging cable extension. It's like, what is this?
That's nice, I guess. I mean, weird one today. Freak out on me 5 times for this stuff. Meantime, let me guess, Trouble. That pesky flame sensor. $5 says flame sensor.
Flame sensor or sometimes funky homing.
Never really had a homing issue.
Uh, I've had it seem to, there's a couple times that it seemed to forget where its home was. And so when you're doing absolute coordinates, it then took off into the upper right corner. So obviously I had a
Check log.
communication issue somewhere.
Hard limit triggered. Oh, that's gonna be that little wire going to your limit switch. I guarantee you, the little short pygmy wire that goes from the gantry to the frame is probably loose, if I were guessing. And as the machine's moving, it's losing connection and causing the hard limit trigger. Check that and see how. I had that problem once early on in the X Tool D1 Pro days.
See, now when Amazon screws up for me and I got to send it back, it's nice. We have a Kohl's right in town and they do you can just walk them in and they'll do the returns for you. So I don't have to worry about shipping it back. And usually when you do that, they give you like a in-store coupon for the day or something like that. So
Yeah, trouble. I agree with you. I mean, like I said, it's everybody do their machine how they want, but I turned that flame sensor off on mine. But I'm going to be honest with you, it wouldn't be a bad idea, in my opinion, to take a hot glue gun or something and just put just a little drop on that thing if it keeps falling out. I got mine in there, never had another problem out of it. But when I first put it together, I did have a little bit of an issue with that plug moving.
yeah, that's not a bad idea. Just be careful on it. I've seen some, even the Monport K40, they went a little crazy with the hot glue on all the connectors and
Yes, they
the
did.
mirror adjustment screws and such. And so a little bit goes a long way in holding those connections in.
Yeah,
Still want to be
yeah.
able to unplug it.
That Mon port looked like a spider web on the inside where they were going from point to
Yeah.
point. And I had
Yeah.
to adjust my mirror, so I had to sit there with a pick and pick all that off of them.
Yeah, I've had that on my CNC routers before, where you've got your 4 pins going to your steppers, and if one of them just works just a little bit loose, you start getting some real funky behavior out of the machine, and it can frustrate you because you'll plug and unplug the big, the white plug or whatever you got, but when one of those pins in that connector isn't seating right, it's throwing you off, and so
Come here.
that's when people are having repeated issues with that, I say, hey, check the individual pins on them as well. So
This is my hero right here, guys. I came in here the other day to what I thought was a half-eaten squirrel. Turns out it was a rat. And I was like, where did she find this thing? But then I went to moving some stuff and found a cup full of acorns. So, so this is my little hero this week because I didn't have any no lasers got chewed, no wires got chewed. She's like, okay, I'm done now. So,
I see some people are asking about the new version of LightBurn. Have you updated yet?
yes, 1.4.0, I think it is what
Mm-hmm.
I'm running. So far, I haven't had any problems. And somebody saying hadn't been able to trace. I traced a couple of things today. So far as I know, I mean, let me make sure. All right, you're gonna get that tail out of my face. Let me make sure it still traces.
Yeah, the local humane
No,
society has working cats that they don't, or that they look for warehouses or people with barns that want to have a cat that they'll feed and take care of, but it's there to kind of keep the rodents out because they just don't. They tend to be too shy or not compatible with humans, but they'd be a good working
well,
cat. So
yeah. Well, I know it's hard to tell right now, but when I first got Fluffy here, yeah, she would bite you if you touched her. Well, that was been 6 years ago, and now she's just she doesn't care. She'll just climb all over you. Now, I wasn't a cat person until I got rats in my tractor, and they chewed up all the wiring, and I had to spend like 2 days rewiring my tractor because of a rat. So that's when I decided to give in and let my daughter have a cat. And seeing that rat laying in the floor dead, I may be proud of my little shop cat. You need to go.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go brush yourself. Go brush yourself. Yeesh. Yeah, I don't know. Had enough. I don't. I haven't had any problems out of mine, but now I have noticed that LightBurn does interact with different operating systems differently. Because my buddy Klein, I don't know if it's got to do with the resolution or what, but I know my buddy Klein, he's got boxes that you can't put them on his machine, like on his LightBurn window, but they're default on mine. So I don't know. There's something under the hood of LightBurn, I believe, that keeps that from happening. I mean, Steve may know more about it. He's a little more nerdy than I am. Do you know why that is, Steve? Is it the graphics card, or is it the resolution, or what causes that?
So you're not able to put like a certain file that you've loaded on another one, or is it like certain
No,
features
like
within
like
LightBurn?
like okay. You see how my see how my like on my screen I've got, well, you can't see all my screen. Hang on. Oh, hey Steve. See how like right here I've got like all the little, these are attached. You see what I'm saying? They're like
Mm-hmm.
they're part of the software. Well, on Klein's, this is all detached, and I can't figure out, for the sake of me, how to get it
Oh,
reattached. And
yeah,
and
I ran into
it,
that once.
it's only on that one computer that he's got. It works on the other ones. So I'm thinking it's got to be something to do with the resolution or the graphics card or some type of framework capability. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah,
ooh, I got the
I've
whole
run
screen
into
to
that
myself.
before, and I'd have to go back and look to see if I remember why and what. But I have run into that issue. I just don't have a quick fix for it right now. So, but
Yeah, I think that's what trouble. I think trouble's having a or had enough is having the same issue. Home being
um,
inconsistent. Mm,
so yeah, and I'm thinking what he's got the X Tool D1 Pro that's got those inductive sensors instead of physical limit switches.
yeah, yeah. Trouble was, yeah, because he was saying he had the flame sensor turned off. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna be a
Um, but with both styles, I've noticed that there can be some inconsistencies on it. So what I often do is instead of having to rehome after a job, I tell it to go park in the opposite corner of wherever.
mhm.
Well, most of them they're going to home to the lower left, but the X tool it's the upper left. I'll send it to maybe the upper center and have it hold there rather than rehome. And then it's as long as you don't move anything, you don't bump anything, then it's constantly holding that known position, and then it's more repeatable, at least in that session. But yeah, limit switches, they, especially if they've got the spring bar on them, they can trigger just slightly different. This is one of the frustrations with one of the 3D printers I had with uh, getting it to set the zero for bed. I'd notice it'd be up a millimeter off the bed sometimes, and then a simple rehome, it would just go back down that millimeter again. So it's something to take into account for repeatability. Um, they're not always accurate on these hobby grade machines.
My camera's being a little slow.
Yeah, it
Don't
is.
know what. I don't know what caused that. I literally. It's been working fine. Now all of a sudden it wants to be slow.
But
Oh, technology.
the this is one of the with Lightburn, you do get 2 to 3 installs, and so I would recommend anyone find a second computer, run it on maybe your non-production computer first, try a few things out if you can, and that way you're not taking your primary one down for the new features. And then generally you can roll back if it's really causing you some problems. They usually you can find the previous few versions out there as well. So um, it's great that they do new features, but yeah, sometimes it can break things or break some of your settings and such, and it takes a little bit to get caught back up. But
Yeah, I haven't, like I said, I haven't had too much problems with the home, but like I do the same thing. I have a park location that I use on all machines, regardless.
And yeah, trouble. That loom, if it's not really tucked away tight, it can cause some issues. Um, if your module goes back and pinches the two together, it can set that off a little bit. So see if you can maybe rework where it's at a little bit, just to give yourself as much space there. I don't remember if there's any adjustability in the limit switches. On some machines, you can slide it around a little bit. That might make you lose a couple millimeters, but if it lets you get a consistent home, that'll be better. But as you've probably heard in countless videos we do when we look at these machines, cable management is generally one of those areas that is an afterthought. Um, we're seeing some with the cable train, and that's great. I've seen some that they're putting more thought into it, but cables dragging around, getting in the way, that's a common thing that frustrates me on these machines.
Now that's one thing that I will give Two Trees. They did a good job on cable management. There's plenty of slack. So far, to be honest with you, I haven't found I haven't found anything I don't like about it. You know how one of my complaints is always that the plugs stick straight up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Not on the Two Trees. Not the Two Trees. It goes out the side towards the closest corner of the machine. The air assist, the power, the USB, all of that's neatly tucked away out of the way. Um, so far, Two Trees has got my attention. So
Well, that's same thing on this IKEA machine that I'll be working on the next few days. It's got most of the cables coming out the left side, out the side, and not sticking up straight up. And they also have some kind of nice ways that they're connecting the wires around corners and such, so that it works out a little bit better too. So they're
yeah,
either listening to people or um, finding better ways to do it other ways. So it is nice to see some of these changes that are have been long requested in some of these.
yeah, yeah. The because see, when my other machine was tied up, my Acer has been tied up all week. So I had a couple of small jobs, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna break out the D1 Pro, and I had one job that I had to burn uh, 3 times because right near the end, as it's doing the bottom, that cable that drags across the work area snagged the corner of a piece of plywood and just messed the whole thing up. So shortly thereafter, I got angry and built another enclosure. So I like the X2, my D1 Pro, but it happened twice on the same job, and it just irritated me because, like you said, cable management was not at the top of the priority list when they built that machine. It
Mhm.
it is a good machine, and it does well. And if you put the legs on it and get it up off the ground, that's really not a problem. But doing plywood, I've had that happen a lot. But you can't put chains on it because they didn't make the cables long enough. So
Yeah. Um, so Darren was asking the best place to get 8s or P20 lenses. Um, so the weird thing with the 8s or P20 is that it has the exact same size threaded end as the X Tool and Sculpt Fun and the others, but they have it narrows down a little bit on a lot of those. And so instead of being a 14-ish millimeter, I think it's like a 9 or a 10 millimeter lens. So if you don't want to go with the 8s, all you need to do is find the brass end cap from X Tool or um, Atom Stack or such, and those will work. And then anyone that's selling the replacement cover lenses for those then would fit in there. Unfortunately, mine don't fit in the stock 8s. You got to swap it out with the X Tool, at least from what at least on some of them.
wrong, wrong.
Now I've had I mine is that way, and I had another person say that too.
Huh.
Now you may have a different end on yours, so
The it fit in the one that I've got. Mine, I had to actually use your little tool to get the
Uh-huh.
locking ring out of there.
Yeah.
But it fit in mine.
So on mine, it actually
So,
tapers down to a smaller size lens.
huh? Well, lucky me.
I guess so. What I would do is then measure it, see if you've got a 14-ish, 12 to 14 millimeter lens. If so, um, mine will work. But if you have the ones that taper down, then they might not fit in your stock end cap. Um, so
Hmm.
that's something that I found out recently that it's not fitting all the 8er ones. So
Well, I got lucky then because it fit mine like a glove. I tried using
see,
the O-ring just for an added seal, but the O-ring was a little more than what I had room in there for. So I just put it in there and tightened the brass down against it. I didn't see. I mean, it's not like it's not like it's going to be bouncing around or anything a whole lot. I
yeah,
snugged it down to where the glass can't move.
yeah.
So we're gonna run that and see if it gives me any trouble, then I'll change it. But I think I'm going to be
Um,
fine with it.
yeah, I mean, just double check on there to see if it's sitting flush with the bottom. Because, like I said, the other one, it does fit down. I mean, they'll probably fit in there, but they don't sit flush at the base, and it's really just a cover lens.
Hmm.
It's there to keep debris out, so it doesn't have to sit in a specific spot to provide any focus or whatnot. But I'm just cautioning people that their 8s are maybe slightly different. I do need to tear mine apart one of these days and actually see what'll fit in there. But I did take the ring out and check it, and there was a difference in there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All
Brian,
right.
you
This is
might
a
want
good.
to check your lens as well to see if that is, and let me know.
What? So you're saying it just doesn't fall all the way to the bottom? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
So you're
it
gonna
might
make me
not
go. You're
fall to
gonna
the
make me
bottom.
go look.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, help me out there, because I think that'll still fit in there, and they'll sit down as you tighten it down with the brass ring, but it doesn't fit. It might not fit flush as the others. So
Well, there's one way to find out, there, my friend. Let me take a peek at this. Somebody was asking Anthony. You want to know how to share an image? This is a good time for us to mention that we have a laser engraving community group that Steve and I frequent, and many of the guys that are in here also frequent. So if you aren't a member of that group, then go over and join, and we will be more than glad to share, you know, advice, information, and it's just a cool place to share with other folks that's from the lives. So because there's a lot of these guys that are in there. Let's see here. I called myself looking, Steve, when I put it in there. No, it's all the way down. It's
then
it's
yours must be slightly different. Let me grab mine quick. Ow.
see right there, Steve. And now, guys, don't be critical. I've done a bunch of cutting since I changed that lens out, put that brand new lens in there. But yeah, it's all the way down in there. I mean, that's it, and that's Steve's lens right there. So all is well. But yeah, I thought when I cleaned it, because one thing that I thought to tell people, Steve, and you may want to advise folks when they get your lenses, is if you put this lens in and you're touching it with the oils on your fingers, and you're touching the lens, putting it in and getting it in there, you can't really put it in there and not touch it. But before you fire the machine up after touching it, it's kind of like those light bulbs that you buy that if you touch them and don't clean them, they'll pop. Make sure you get all the oil from your finger off of that lens before you fire it up. This is probably about 10 hours of use on that one so far since I swapped it out, and
So
it hasn't discolored or anything.
so in my instructions, of which most people don't read, and I'm not sure you got them.
Mm,
I do
I
I
got them.
do say to clean before and then after you install it before firing your laser for that very reason.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm not going to sit here and tell you I read them, but I got them. I ain't gonna lie. but yeah, I did get the instructions with it. But to me, that should, to me, that's that's kind of like common knowledge to me. But I understand for people that don't work on, you know, lights or light bulbs or anything that oil could be detrimental to, it wouldn't be common sense. But
Yeah, and if
the
you want to
world
be
that I
really
grew up in,
cautious, if you want to be really cautious, like Ron says, wear some gloves.
yep. But the problem is a lot of people don't realize it, is a lot of these hand creams and even like soaps these days have more oils and lotions and moisturizers in them. So if you do touch it, then there's a really good likelihood that you're going to deposit some type of oil, which is just going to cook to the lens and cause you problems right out the gate. But yeah, there it is, back together. That's why I don't put that cover on here, guys. It just makes it so much simpler.
Okay, now
Let me
I'm
go.
confused. I'm wondering if it's the atom stack one that it doesn't fit. That one might narrow down. There was one of them because I'm looking at mine here, and unless I swap this with one of my X-Tool ones already, this one is looking similar too. So, but
So, but I can tell you with my experience with the Acer P20, your lens fit and it worked. It went all the way down. It seated. The only thing that, like I said, the little uh, the O rings were a little thicker than what I felt like it needed. But to be honest with you, I didn't see needing the rubber O ring because it snugged down tight enough to where I could shake it and it didn't move.
So
So
yeah, the O-ring is there if you. So some of the X-Tool ones didn't come with the brass ring; they were just glued in. And so then the O-rings are there to you put the lens in, and you put the O-ring over it, and then as you tighten the cap up onto the module, then that O-ring should just compress just enough to hold it in place so it doesn't rattle around. If you
oh
have the
lordy,
brass ring, you shouldn't need to use it. So
oh that's convenient. Mm. Apparently, my guys are chasing a car, like literally right here.
I don't know.
They're going to pull up, and
But
so some strange person runs into the lab. We'll know what's going on.
so, but yeah, if people are wondering if it fits, and you can take yours apart, double check the uh, the diameter of the actual lens. If it's 12 to 14, or it's 12 and a half to 14, mine should fit in there. I know I've checked with most of the X-Tool other than the 40 watt. The 8s or 20 seems to be fairly consistent. Some of the atom stack maybe. And there's a lot of others that use that same style, that brass sleeve. So yeah, hopefully they fit. And if they don't, I'll definitely work with people, make sure that they're not stuck with them. So
Yes, sir. But yeah, if you hadn't already, guys, go hit that laser engraver community page. Like I said, a lot of sharing going on. A lot of folks talking, asking questions, sharing what they do. So I can't get to the page. Uh, Jim, hang on. The page should be. I mean, make sure you have the shortcut right. I'm trying to pull it up here. My shortcut. But if you go to Facebook and you just type in laser engraving community and search, you should see the Facebook page. Jim. And I'll actually see if I can copy a shortcut and put it in the comments. See if this works. There it is. That's the group right there. And we're up to currently 472 members. So there's a lot of guys in there, a lot of knowledge, a lot of cool ideas. Sometimes other folks can be your inspiration for projects or whatnot. Different wood, glass, or other products. Well, JD, if it's wood, depends on the machine. But I'll tell you now, wood with a 20 watt, somewhere in the ballpark of 115 millimeters per second, 100% output, is pretty consistently going to give you a decent burn. Now, if you're going for a particular look, you will need to do a power test to get that look that you want. But about 110 to 115 on every 20 watt machine in this shop gets me really close to the desired look. And in a pinch where I'm doing like a one off, that's my go to on a 20 watt is 115 millimeters per second at 100% output. If somebody brings me something wood and I don't have a chance to do a speed and power test, that's my go to. But I will tell you this based on your lens, because one thing that I will tell you guys, if your lens is starting to wear, my power setting is not going to work for you. If you have a brand new lens and mine is worn, it's not going to work for you. So always, if it's something that's important to you, always do a speed power test with your machine. Now, like I said, if somebody brings you a wooden something that you've only got one of them and you just got to go for it, then that's where guesswork comes in. But it is still guesswork. My recommendation, don't touch it after you burn it. That way, if you need to reburn it, you can do it. Jim, I haven't blocked you. I don't know. Did you make somebody mad? I don't know how to look to see if anybody has been. I don't think you, unless you were spamming us, Jim. You should be in there. I'll have to look. Uh, I had to look in a minute. I don't know how to find it.
Yeah, I've noticed Facebook has added a lot of complexity.
Steve, battery time, guys. Hang on. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get a link for this battery, guys, because Steve Steve is struggling today. So let me go here. Orders. Sony. I see. I've got the battery that goes with the camera. We both have the same camera. Steve doesn't have one, and so that's what's happening. I'm pretty sure is his his camera's died on him again. So he should be back soon. No, I didn't block Steve. What it is he's using the Sony ZV-1 as a webcam, and that's what I used to do. But you either have to put it on a dummy power supply, a dummy battery to power it the whole time, or you have to keep changing batteries. And then when you change the batteries, it takes it a minute to boot back up and get going. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. But I had to go down on the power. That Beaver Creek, if that's the case, it probably just means that you were running at a depreciated power output prior to changing the lens. I was having some problems with mine not cutting all the way through, and that's when I got to noticing it. Inspected it, cleaned it, and that's when I saw that little spot on my lens. After changing the lens out, it's cutting like a new machine again. So it's probably not that it changed the output of your machine. You had probably just gotten used to it being a little bit depreciated from that lens. Because that's a flat lens. It really doesn't change the focus or change any characteristics of the laser. That's just more or less a protective lens to keep from getting the lens dirty. How are you? Yeah, Kazakh. The bees are doing well. These past couple of days, it's been really hot, and they've been taking a lot of pollen in, and they're doing good. I'm gonna give them a couple of weeks and go in there and see if I've got some see if the queen's laying. But I'm gonna have to build a box or go get me a box to put them in because they're gonna rapidly outgrow the ones I've got them in. James, which which enclosure are you talking about? The new one? Wait a minute. The new one over here or enclosure Zilla? Both of my enclosures are fixing to get an upgrade because since I've got air conditioning in here now, I'm fixing to put fresh air intakes in both of them so that it pulls the air from outside, circulates it through the machine, and then blows it back outside. Because with the air conditioning running in here, I don't want to keep blowing all my air conditioning outside. So I'm going to be doing that in the next couple of weeks. I've just got to get a couple of those dryer vents to put on the outside of the building. I did buy myself a 4-inch hole saw because I didn't have one before and I was having to use a jigsaw. So I now have a 4-inch hole saw for this project of the fresh air intakes. Well, Steve must have he must have decided to just call it a day. I don't know. Oh, there he comes. Here he comes. Hey, Steve. No audio, bro.
I just went and grabbed my webcam from inside.
Hey, we all agree that you need this right here. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and send that to you. There you are. You're welcome, bro. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And there may or may not be an affiliate link. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's the battery that I've got, Steve, and it works good. Hang on, I'll show you what it looks like because I'm not using it tonight. Well, this is what it looks like. It's just like I said, literally, it's a battery with a cable, but you can power it off of a USB like battery, or you can take and unplug this, which I don't ever do, and you can actually plug it up to 120. But I usually just use this part with the USB adapter. That way I can just take my battery and hang it from the tripod on that little hook, and it works great. So I sent you a link.
Well, you sent Chad a link, but I can't click on it.
Chad.
Chat.
Oh, well, I can. I am sure somehow on this machine right here, I can find a way to send you a link.
Because if I click on it, it does this.
Oh, you can't like hold control and do it. Hang on, I can get it to you. Watch this right here. Boom, Control V. Yep, sent. See, I'm learning this. I'm learning this computer stuff. I might not be as good at it as you are, but I'm getting there.
Hey, like I said, they moved me up to management for a reason.
Beaver Creek. Yes, they're going to be on the inside. If you follow me, I'm going to put the louver part is going to be to where when the suction turns on, they do this. So no, if I put them on the outside of the building, yes, they would. But I'm trying to find something low profile that I could put inside the enclosure, so that because I've already got them on the outside for the outlets, but I got to have something for the inside so that I don't have just this big gaping hole in the wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tube in there, and I'm going to have I'm going to reverse them so that they come in when the suction hits them. If that makes sense. Now there will be some 1/8-inch hardware cloth over the inlet tube on the outside so that I don't have any like birds or anything building nests in them. But yeah, Beaver Creek, redneck engineering is one of those things that I'm actually pretty cool at. Pretty good at that. I can make stuff work. You could gift ship one to him. Look, Brandy's trying to make me just like drop ship you a battery.
Well, if you do that, you got to sneak in some of those peach candies that you sent home.
Oh yeah, I didn't tell her that. I forgot to tell her.
Yeah. Wife's been loving on those. She's it's not a generally not a fruit peach kind of person, but she really likes those candies that were in there. So thanks for sending them.
Well, that was all her. Believe it or not, I don't really do gift baskets. All right, I'll let you get this one there, tech guy. This is right down your alley.
Can you change home from 0x0y? So you're wanting to have like an offset from the home, or you can do that. Otherwise, the problem is that to home it, it's got to hit those limit switches. And then it's going to know that home is whatever distance from those it is going to be. So you can adjust that offset, but it's still going to have to physically hit the limit switches. So if that's the problem, changing that's probably not going to help. And it's just going to restrict your working area some. So
I would just spend a little time with that wiring, trying to get it to cooperate a little bit better. I know it's a pain, guys. Mine, I actually used. Well, you saw where I put the little cable straps on the top of mine, and those holes that they put on there and did nothing with. I actually put cable straps on mine to kind of fix uh, some of the cable management issue, but not all of it. You should just build a replacement X-Tool D1 cable system, Steve. Put those in your Etsy shop.
well, there's someone else who already kind of has. So
Oh, have they? Okay. Well, hey, that might be an idea if somebody's having problems with it. Get you an
yeah, I think it's a
aftermarket harness.
live pixels or whatever. Daniel Gonzalez has a couple of things like that for doing the cable chain stuff and moving those cables above. So that's out there if it's really a problem. And then there's that whole Devil One thing from Kobe that really completely changes the machine. And at that point, I think you should just probably buy a new laser. But
Yeah, that's for the people that really like to tinker, like
yeah,
way more than I like to tinker. I don't care to tinker that much.
but a live pixel has a chain setup that should get rid of the wire loom and the weird routing. And I think he does it in a way that you don't have to modify the frame or do any warranty breaking stuff. So
Cool.
I haven't done it myself, but I've seen a few people and they do seem to like it. So
Yeah, Brian. Which Steve got to eat some lunch at Peach Park. Brian, there's a place here locally called Peach Park, and Brandy Mike can send you if there's a way you can order them online. I'm sure Brandy can find it for you. But they sell Clack Shack merch there too. But they have those candies. And that's apparently where she got them. I wasn't sure where she got them at,
yeah,
but
it's a
they may even have it to where we can drop ship some. Maybe.
cool
Hey,
little restaurant, farmers market, outdoor
park.
kind of park area. With a grumpy guy that didn't like me bringing colder weather to the area, even though it was like sunny and upper 60s. So I don't know.
Yeah. The little guy that sat with us at the table and it
Yeah,
was complaining because we sat in the shade and it was cold. Yeah, that was neat. Steve's first experience with somebody. Well, I don't even know if he was from here, to be honest with you. Uh, but that Steve's first experience meeting somebody other than me, and the guy basically just was rude. Yeah, they have a boutique too, Steve. I didn't take you in there. I didn't think you needed a hair bow or anything.
well, I could have done something with the beard.
I can't believe Brian's not heartbroken since you cut it. He really hasn't
Well,
mentioned it.
it's already growing
He
out.
may be
This
avoiding it.
grows pretty quick, so it's not as short as it was 3 or so weeks ago when I trimmed that.
Yeah.
So,
But now the new machines. That's one thing that I will say that a lot of these companies are starting to listen to the cable management cries from everybody because it is terrible on some of these machines. The last 2 or 3 machines I got in had really good cable management. I mean, the Atom Stack, it's not terrible. The 2 trees, I mean, they built drag chains into the machine. Like there's brackets for the drag chains. There's no zip ties or sticky stuff. I mean, it's yeah. Brian, hey, Brian said he's confused now that I'm growing mine out. So, got you.
So, speaking of cable management, I'll see if I can show this quick by turning my camera. If I can get it angled down right. So this is the Aitzer, and
You've already
they
got
do
the
a
new
couple,
Acer.
or not the Aitzer, but the IKEA. Sorry,
Oh, I was fixing to say, what the heck?
yeah. And so they actually run it in the channel here,
Oh,
so
that's
that
cool.
helps eliminate some of this where the cable will still be able to move side to side, and then it kind of comes out this back area, and then the same thing on the inside here. They they tuck it into the frame so that it doesn't slide around as much. So you still have this wire loom bit on the side and the top, but it's not as much in the way of where it's going to start dragging around. So
Yeah, but the way they've got that on the top like that, though, it's not between any moving parts that's going to cause an obstruction.
right,
So I'm good with that. I'm good with that design as long as they got it, to where it's not like not with the D1. I mean, literally, the harness runs between the gantry and the frame, and there was not a
yeah.
cutout or nothing to allow for it. So
And over
yeah, I mean,
here,
I'm good with
it's
that.
all on the outside. It doesn't get pushed inside either. So
Hmm. It's a nice looking machine.
it is. And notice cables out on the side.
Yes, sir.
So
Hey, I'm telling you, I think somebody's watching our live, Steve, and taking notes when they build these machines. Uh,
oh, okay.
Anthony says V35 uses 14 millimeters.
Oh, that's nice
I
to know.
haven't had my hands on a V35 yet, so I'm not sure. My eights are. Not sure what that comment says.
Move the air assist
Oh,
to the underside of the deck on the Zilla.
Steve. Anthony said he sells lenses too.
Hey, I'm I know there's a number of people that sell them, and there's differences between them all. And I think it's great when people are enterprising and fair. And so I
Yeah.
have, you know, someone's got a better product. That's good for everyone. It challenges everybody to be better. So
Oh yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with two or three people doing the same thing.
oh yeah,
There are other people that do. I mean, me and you, for example. I mean, we pretty much do the same thing with YouTube and dealing with these companies, and we work together and get things done. So, and there's a whole bunch of people that sell files on Etsy. I know I sell files on Etsy, but there's a whole bunch of people that sell files. So far, nobody has tried to steal mine, but there are people that sell files.
yeah. And I've bought files off of Etsy. If someone's got a good design of something I'm looking at and they're asking a fair price, I mean, I'm more than happy to give them the money for their design and save me the time. And I also like supporting a lot of small business people, whether it's here in town with restaurants and boutique type things, or whether it's online with various creators. There's some people there's the Patreon thing that I know you and I have talked about. We don't do, but I support some people that way just because I like what they're doing. So it's
Yeah.
as
Well, yeah,
long
but
as you're doing something yourself in your own
oh,
creation, don't steal from someone else and try to resell it. Um, don't do
yeah.
that. But
Yeah, Brian, I had the same concerns after running mine inside the enclosure for a little while. I did it originally to try to keep it quieter, and because I just felt like it would make it would kind of muffle the sound of it. But after watching the intake for a few days and running it, that's when I decided to just get it out of there. I went ahead and got my shop air connected, and but I did have mine inside the enclosure for the first I don't know, about a week or so until I got around to doing my shop air. But I don't use air pumps at all now. I've got every machine in the shop right now is run off shop air. Unless it's a new machine they send me, I will use their pumps just for testing purposes. But I usually do a side by side comparison to the pump and then 10. I'm running 10 psi at all my regulators, and so I'll do the pump compared to 10 psi. Just to let you know, because a lot of guys are like me, they're not gonna use that pump unless they're not around their shop or their air compressor goes out. So, but I do a lot of testing with both. But the air assist pumps, I'm seeing a lot more of the multi-cylinder air assist pumps coming out now. Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
getting away from that single cylinder one.
Mike's asking if I have a video on this machine. I literally just assembled this yesterday, and I didn't get to play with it much today because I was finishing the video for the Atom Stack rotary, because they did send that to me with some of the other things, so I wanted to make sure I got that out of the way. But this will hopefully be going through the paces the next couple days, and I'll try to get some early information out about it. There's some cool features on here I'm looking forward to trying out, so I'm sure it's going to be multiple videos playing around with this one as well. So stay tuned. It should be hopefully midweek or so that I get at least the first one out.
Yeah, who was asking? Somebody was asking me about. Somebody was asking about tubing for air assist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so here's what I'm using, and I've made 3 orders. I'm working on my 3rd order of this stuff. It's the black. Matter of fact, here's a piece of it right here that I use for jumper. It's this little black hose right here, and guys, I've actually got a piece of this ran. I've got one connection point into my main air system off the PVC, and then I've got this stuff. I probably got 60 feet of this stuff run through my shop, going from one machine to the other, using the little splitters and everything. And my line pressure on this coming off the main line is about 115, 120 psi. And so far, no issues. I was a little worried in the beginning that it might pop this stuff, but it's surprised me. Now, it will make it to where the fittings don't come loose as easy until you depressurize the lines, because the more pressure you put on here, the harder those things grab. But I've got this stuff run everywhere. I've got one that comes from this wall, goes up across the ceiling and back down over here. And so far, I haven't had any problems. It's compatible with most every laser out here. And if you order that little kit that I put the link to the Amazon there, it comes with several adapters that fits even the air assist tubing for the Nijis and stuff like that. They use that real small 1/8 inch or whatever it is. But I do run a regulator and water separator at each connection point to each machine, with a valve that I can use to regulate it. And I do a lot of Amazon, guys, and I've got 4 of these in my shop. But I'll share this with you too if you're interested. Like I said, this is what I use, and you'll see it if you watch my videos. You'll see these things. You'll see these things all over my shop. But that's the regulator, and let me see if I can get to where you can see. No, I moved that one to the other end of the table now. But
Now, does that hose fit onto the larger adapters, like on the 8er and such? Or are you using like a section of the hose that comes with them to make that connection point?
the 8er? I don't even remember what's on the 8er. Hang on.
Did you fall over?
No, I had to grab my little stool. I've had to go vertical with all my storage. This is the little pigtail that came with the 8er. And this stuff is just the right size.
So, but like on this end,
inside it.
On the module end, does it fit on there?
No, I use the hose that comes with the 8er. That's a lot
Okay. Yeah,
more
that's what I was
flexible
wondering.
hose. This
That's
is just what I use. Like if you looked underneath my tables, going from the regulator to the main line, and going from the regulator back to the hose that goes into Acer, this is what you'll find.
Okay.
If especially that flexible stuff that Acer uses, that's really flexible. I like that on the gantry, but this stuff is great for running it through the tables because you can take and just basically drill a 3/8 inch hole like through the material, and it fits in there really snug, and it doesn't have a whole lot of slop or anything like that. So that's what I've ran it all under the new construction over here yesterday. But it also comes with couplers that, I mean, you can actually get, and I have. Hang on, let me get my coupler box. Run me to death, Steve. Run me to death over here. See, this is my little box of couplers. So I've got plenty of these guys.
Sure.
Now I do have in this box, if I haven't used them all, I do have an adapter coupler that goes from this size right here to this. Well, no, actually that goes to the Niji. That's a real small one. But I do have adapters for this. That's what I've got going from the Acer into the connection down there. But I just buy a whole new kit every time. So some of these parts I've got plenty of that I don't ever use. But see, I use these little guys here to tie into the main air. These are threaded on one end, and then it's got the 1/4 inch quick connect on the other. So those are pretty handy. But yeah, I have plumbed this entire shop with that stuff, and so far so good.
So John is asking, any lessons learned from all the building of enclosures? He's looking to move on from the X-tool enclosure. It says to seal it better to have better airflow evacuation. So we've both built quite a few, and the big lesson I would say is you're not trying to seal it so much as you are trying to direct your airflow and have good airflow through. If you seal it up too much, you're just going to starve the fan, and then you're not going to be able to evacuate the air out. So you really want to think about how is the air coming into the enclosure, and is it enough volume to feed your outlet? And then also, how is that air moving across or down or whatever direction you're trying to get that air to move to evacuate it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big thing. Like the newest enclosure that I built, instead of drilling holes for the air inlet, because like I said, I do plan on having these machines have a fresh air intake from the outside world. Now, when I do that, I will try to seal up the box because it's going to have, an equal opening to the free world out there. But like right now, you don't want to seal it. If your enclosure is whistling when you've got your fan on or squealing, you don't have enough airflow. You want to have it just enough to where smoke can't come out into the world. There's a constant, just a little bit of suction going into the enclosure. Not too much because then if you get if it's moving too fast, then that means you don't have enough area of flow, enough volume of air, so to speak. But it's a balance. One thing that I will say, if you have a honeybee smoker, you can use that to see if if it has if it has enough negative pressure inside the chamber, so that it's going to pull that stuff in there. Because I've actually used my honeybee smoker to test my enclosures to make sure that they're pulling air from the outside world in. Because if you ever get it to where you've got so much air exchange that the smoke can kind of drift out of the enclosure, that's where you're going to start getting a lot of smell. As long as all the air is slowly coming into the enclosure, you're good to go. But I should try to find like I don't know, maybe a black light smoke or something and just do a demonstration on that. Brian says I need to do one on DIY.
Yeah. How many people here have a honeybee smoker?
Hey, Ron, there you go, Ron. Kudos for thinking outside the box right there, Ron. Get an incense or a cigar or something. I mean, come on, guys. That's the way, Ron. Ron's from the South. I can tell you right now. He improvised that so fast. He's got to be from somewhere around me over here.
So the other thing we saw here. North Alabama barbecue sounds really good. New to the laser game, what is the advantages of LightBurn over Xtool software? Xtool, I'll give Xtool credit here. As far as a free software that comes with their laser, it's better than the others that just say, hey, go ahead and pay for LightBurn or use Laser GRBL, because Laser GRBL will work, but it's one of those things that just because it can work doesn't mean you're going to get super frustrated and confused and annoyed by it. And so, in fairness, they've developed software that helps people get started with their lasers, that kind of keeps it simple at first, and they've continued to improve upon it as well. The thing that most people tell you is that they're overwhelmed by LightBurn when they jump into it. And for that, I say take it simple. Just start with, if you've, definitely watch some of our videos. There's other people out there. LA Hobby Guy does a lot of LightBurn tutorials. Watch a few of those and just pick a few simple steps first. But the thing that you're going to get with LightBurn is a lot more flexibility, a lot more features. And if and when you get to the point that you decide the Xtool isn't for you anymore and you want to change lasers, LightBurn is likely going to work with it. It works with 90% of consumer and even prosumer lasers out there. You get into some of the high-end commercial ones like Trotec and such, they've got their own proprietary software it doesn't work with, but it will work with most lasers out there. And so you're not going to need to relearn a new software just because you got a different machine. But the big thing is that it is so powerful as far as the various features and options. There's so many people using it, so being able to exchange files is a lot easier as well. Because instead of having to export it as something and re-import it, you can actually just share the LightBurn file with others and have minimal changes. So, but yeah, the biggest thing is a lot of people do get intimidated by the number of things you can do in there. And it's just mindful that you got to kind of take it in little chunks, learn the basics first, and go from there.
Yeah, LightBurn is very powerful. When I first got my machine, I started out with, what was they call? What they call it? Laser box, I think.
Yep.
What they called it back then. And it was very, very basic. I mean, it had very limited usability. You could download an image, engrave it. You could do text and engrave it. But anything past that, you couldn't really design. And you had to have other softwares to be able to design. Well, with LightBurn, the thing that I like about it is you design, burn, engrave, test, calibrate your cameras, all of that stuff in one software. So like you said, I mean, me and you both test a lot of machines, and every one of them have their little application for operating the laser. And most of them are very, very limited. Xtool does do a little better job than most when it comes to their software. But if you've had your laser more than a couple of weeks and you know that you're going to keep it and you like it, LightBurn is worth the investment. If nothing else, go get the free trial for 30 days. And by the time the free trial is up, you'll be convinced that you need it. So that's my 2 cents, because that's what I did. I got the free trial, used it for 30 days. I think on like day 28, I went ahead and bought it because I was like, I gotta have this in my life with lasers.
Jeff is asking, what is my favorite pump for air assist? And this one from Adam Stack is the one that I find works the best for me, and doesn't create a ton of noise, puts out a lot of consistent air. So that's the one I really like. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure if you can just buy this separate or not. It comes with a lot of their like their A20 and their A30 laser as well. So that's the one out of the ones that are from the laser manufacturers that I like. It has the adjustable knob, and that's one of the things I really like is that you can actually get a lower airflow out of this one, whereas some of them it seems like it's on or off, or by the time you get any airflow, you're almost at full. This one does seem to have a pretty good flow adjustment on it. So
Yeah, that pump is pretty good. Uh, I don't have a problem with the Acer one, but I agree with you on that one. That one seems like it has a little more volume than the Acer. And I've got another one. The one that came with the two trees isn't bad, and it's shaped different, but it actually, as far as volume and pressure, it done a really good job. Uh, the testing that I did with it, like I said, I dump that thing as soon as I get the testing over with for the company, though, because I prefer my air assist. North Alabama barbecue. See, maybe they could barbecue and bullets and big rigs. Okay, so they got it all up there. You can tell they from Alabama. Yeah. What was his name a while ago? He said he was from Ron. Says from South Chicago. So that's not exactly what I thought. But
I don't know if it was South Chicago or south of Chicago. South of Chicago. There's a difference.
either way, if he's close to Chicago, he's a little far north for what I thought. But
I don't know. South from me.
that's south of you. Eskimos are south of you, Steve.
Hey, now.
You're up there. I mean, y'all got polar bears in your front yard, don't you?
You're right. You were talking about having the AC in your shop, and I'm just happy mine's warmed up till 63.
No, it's 73 in here, but this air conditioner's working great, man. I stayed out here and worked all day yesterday. Now I did sweat still, but it was nothing like what I'm used to. I mean, it is. Whew, I've been needing that for a while. I just got to finish the installation. So if you get bored and want to run over and put up some insulation on that wall and that wall, I got some work for you.
Yeah, I'll be right down. You just wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know you're fired up to do that trip again.
Yeah.
Do you know about this, Steve? Is it a 1 year? Is the license that they're giving from is Acer's given legit, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I know they were offering some sort of deal with that, and so I would hope it would be legit. And hopefully, if you're able to register it with LightBurn, then you should be able to then do upgrades and such. But I wasn't I haven't seen what they were sending out with that. So
Well, I know a lot of the machines that I get has LightBurn on the SD card, but now it's just the 30-day free version.
yeah,
So I don't know if that's if that's what it is they're getting the 30-day free version or what. I don't know if it comes with a license key or what. But I'm like you, if the license key validates, then unless they're cloning them, which I wouldn't think a company would do, but you never know.
you'd hope not. But
We'll see. We got a couple of truckers in the house. That seems like a fun job, but I can't sit still long enough to drive a truck like that. I drove a gravel truck for a little while, a triaxle, and I just get tired looking at the road. It's not. It's some people just have to. You have to be bred for that. My dad drove a truck for a while to California and back and stuff, and my brother went with him a little bit, but I think that's something you either. It's kind of like other jobs. You either got it in you or you don't. And I couldn't do it every day. Obviously, Steve doesn't like driving every day.
I'll tell you, yeah, those are some long days driving down there and back. I wouldn't want to do that constantly. I also don't want to continue. I had to get home. I was tired of paying for hotel rooms, but
Yeah.
yeah, I have a good friend who was an on the road trucker for many years, and uh, he enjoyed it, but he's glad to be out of it as well too. Because I mean, he's also 70 some. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
he's always a good one. Like, hey, any recommendations on routes and such? Because he's probably driven them.
Oh yeah. Well, nowadays though, I mean, routes are changing quick.
Hmm.
They add bypasses and all that. I mean, it's like I said, I can't. I'm not patient enough with other people, so that's part of my problem. If I stayed on the road too much, I'd get road rage. But yeah, Chris, Steve, actually, now I got to take up for Steve. He was prepared to sleep in his van. He had it set up to do so. But now he is a big guy. I'll give him that. So trying to stretch out and get comfortable in a vehicle that's not, doesn't have an 8-foot sleeper on it would have been challenging. So I'm gonna have to take up for him on there. But he was prepared for it.
Yeah, especially with my
Hmm.
airplane stuff in there, that
Woo!
would have been tight. But I did, yeah. I had a sleeping bag and a sleeping pad, and had my fridge and water and everything. If I had to, I would have done that. But yeah, no, I talked with you about it. I had looked at maybe renting or getting a pull behind camper, but man, even campgrounds and some of the places you stay are either a little sketchy or expensive to stay in as
Yeah.
well. So it's just not cheap to travel. So
Okay. I'm not sure I'm understanding this one, so I'm gonna let you look at it and see. Uh, but the minimum power.
so on a cut operation, yeah, the minimum power, that is not an option that's available. Lightburn actually tries to manage that itself, and so as it's ramping down for a corner, it will calculate that in itself. Now, if you're doing a fill, you can set your minimum maximum power. I'm sorry, if you're doing a fill, you can turn
Image.
on constant power, and that will then negate that ramp down. But if you're doing an image, that's where it'll allow you to set your minimum maximum power to get uh, your lowest setting and your highest setting that it'll calculate from. But yeah, the Lightburn tries to do that calculation for you to where you don't need to adjust your minimum and maximum so that it ramps down.
Yeah, unless you turn it off, which some people do. But yeah, with the only time that I know that you can set the minimum maximum is going to be on like Grayscale or Jarvis or something like that. Now, I will say this: uh, it makes the software a lot more simplistic, but Lightburn does sometimes leave checkboxes and little switches in place, even though they don't necessarily apply to the setting that you've got it set to. So that's one of those things that go to Lightburn's website and look at some of the tutorials on the settings. They've got a spreadsheet that kind of explains everything to you, or a web page. I mean, but there, just because there's a switch there, it sometimes it might not apply to the mode in which you're seeing it. Because if you're online, for instance, it may be grayed out, but that's not because your machine won't do it. It's because that doesn't apply to the setting that you're trying to use. So just like I said, I know why they did it. It makes it easier than having to have 3 or 4 different, tabs when you swap from field to image to line. It doesn't have to change that tab, and it makes sense from a programming standpoint. But it could be confusing to you if you don't pay attention to that. Hmm. Bugs done got in here on me.
Hmm.
But anyway, guys, if you haven't already, go hit the subscribe button, like, thumbs up, comment. Surely we can get a few likes out of this. I haven't been watching to see, but surely, if you're watching the video and you haven't left yet, surely you can hit that like button for us and help us out on that. Share, whatever you can do to help us out, we appreciate it. And also, if you haven't already, go join the Laser Engraver community group. That's me and Steve share a lot of stuff there. We kind of, just kick the can around with folks that are on the channel and that come to the video, come to the lives, and we share like guys. Some of y'all surprised me with some of the things that y'all make because I just don't have the patience for some of this stuff. But there's some pretty cool creations in that group that some of you guys are doing. But anyway, yeah, that's like my little subscribe thing. It's pretty cool.
Sharon's asking, with the smoke coming up through the honeycomb, should you change the back exhaust fan towards the bottom instead of the top of the enclosure?
My answer is yes. It needs to be down. It needs to be below the honeycomb if you can.
Yeah, ideally it would be. If you were to take a look at any of the larger CO2 lasers and such, they tend to have the air exhaust, if at all possible, they have it down below and center in the back. But generally, it's going to be below the honeycomb because you definitely want that smoke staying away from the rest of the material. And on these diodes, especially with the fan cooling the module on the head, that will suck in anything that's around it. So if the smoke's coming up around the module, it's going to be blowing that smoky air across your electronics and then down towards the lens. So that's definitely an idea. If you have the space underneath and you can get your exhaust port down below your honeycomb, it's going to give you a little bit of a benefit of directing that airflow that way.
Agreed. That's why I try, which I don't always succeed, but I try to keep the exhaust, the input for the exhaust lower than my honeycomb. And like I said, I'm fixing to do some modifications to Enclosure Zilla. I'm fixing to add a fresh air intake because yesterday when I started running, I was running those jobs and I had the machine run. It ran for like 12 hours yesterday. The Acer did. And I've got a 4-inch fan that's pumping air, my freshly air conditioned, cooled air, pumping it outside. And I got to looking at my little cat door over there. The flap's doing this, and it's letting that hot air come in from the cat flap door. So
yeah.
I'm going to have to add fresh air intakes to my machines now to keep from wasting, my cold air or warm air this winter because it gets really cold here.
Okay.
It does, man. It gets down into 20s down here.
Yep.
Well, I got to stay comfortable.
Yeah, I know when I turn on the exhaust for my big CO2 laser, and I don't have the window cracked, or if I have my entrance door just slightly cracked, you'll notice it. You'll hear it suck in on the garage doors, or the door, the entry door and such. So you definitely got to have that air. It's got to be able to pull air in if it's sucking air out. So.
Yeah. And I figure if I go around my enclosure and seal it up a little bit better and I give it adequate exterior inlet, then that'll keep it from taking my nice air conditioned air and adding hot air to it or cold, whichever. No, Brian, not 20 below, 20 above. That's cold.
Celsius?
No, we do Fahrenheit here. The Acer license key. Oh, yeah. Like I said, Beaver Creek. I know a lot of places sell license with their machine. I know Monport. I think Monport, you can buy your machine and a license at one time. So I'm pretty sure LightBurn has set these guys up to where they can sell you their product. And truth be known, they're probably paying like $10 less for it than what you are, and then that manufacturer is probably getting to keep that other $10 as a reward for helping sell LightBurn. If I was guessing, I would say that that's probably what's going on there. So they're just getting it. They're getting a wholesale price where you're getting it retail, and then they're getting to keep that difference.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that it pretty much never goes on sale. So unless you can get some sort of bundle deal, you're pretty much going to pay whatever it is. And when that's the case, I generally go to the source. But if you can get it as a bundle with your laser, that's great. Or if for some reason, I mean, I would be leery if there's a place offering just a straight up deal that isn't an offer with a laser, because there
Yeah.
have been some instances of cracked keys and such that are not legit. So I generally in that case I'm going to go straight to the source, and make sure that I can have no issues getting my licensing on it.
Yeah. I think most of the big companies, I wouldn't be too concerned about them.
Oh yeah, right. But if you're
You
finding,
never know.
especially if you're finding an eBay deal or something like that,
If you meet
probably
some dude out behind a gas station to buy your LightBurn license, is that what you're saying?
yeah, some guy sneaks up to you in a hotel parking lot.
Yeah. Did you have anybody trying to sell you LightBurn in the hotel parking lot while you were gone?
No, just this weird guy down in Clanton, pulled up in his big Ford and said, "Get in."
Yeah. I don't know who that guy was. But yeah, the LightBurn is very affordable in my opinion. Like I said,
Yeah.
it doesn't take but a couple of. If you're a hobbyist, then hey, if it bothers you to spend that $60, then just do a couple little small burns for your neighbors. Make a couple of 20s. Put that back in the coffee cup, and you're good to go. If you're like me, you know, I just add pennies to every order, and it covers it. You know what I mean? Like these little name things, I could have paid for my LightBurn license 4 times over just doing these 30-inch names the past 2 weeks. So it's worth it, because the stuff that I'm doing for a lot of my burns, you would have a hard time doing it with any other software. Well, Sharon, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time. $5 a month. Yeah, that's about all it costs if you do the math, which I'm terrible at math. Y'all know I'm bad at math. I'll be throwing that out there without explaining it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's not too expensive. I mean, once you see all the features it'll do for you, the fact that you can save your own custom libraries, both of art and file settings and such, um, you know, you'll even just in time savings as a hobbyist, you'll appreciate the uh, the small expense it is. And yeah, like you said, make a few tumblers for someone, do some address plaques or something. Um, to find a way to make that money back if it's really a big issue. I know for some people they feel they got to make their money back on the machine, and if they bought it with that in that regards, then definitely something to factor in. But it's far cheaper than
Anthony,
so many other softwares out there.
Anthony, apparently not.
Oh, he's
Oh,
asking about
I see.
overscan.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I don't mess with that.
You don't mess with overscan.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Whatever
I
the controller settings are set at, that's kind of where I leave it.
Yeah, I think the default it starts at 2.5%, on these diodes. At the speeds they're going and the lightweight that a gantry is, it doesn't take a whole lot to get it to decelerate and move back the other way. And so that's usually enough for anything I've done. At most, you might bump it up to 3 or 4, but beyond there, you're just adding time and distance that it's got to travel. So
Yep. But no, I used mine straight out the box, whatever it came set at. I haven't seen a need to mess with it. I guess if I start, you had a picture that somebody showed you the other day or whatever, where it looked like maybe they had their overscan messed up. But that's one of those things to where I kind of go with the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I've never really looked at my engrave and was like, wow, my overscan's off, you know? So, hey, until it starts giving me a problem,
well,
I'm going to keep rocking the way it is.
and that's where LightBurn is trying to calculate dropping down the power as it slows down to turn around. So you could turn it off and you might not notice it. Now, if you turn it off and you have constant power mode on, you are going to notice it because that's going to be burning full power right up to the edge. As it slows down and turns back, and you're going to see that darker edge. And that's where you would really want to look at it is if you're seeing your edges are inconsistent, you want to turn that overscan on, which allows the head to go past the image or the graphic just to do its slow down and reverse and then come back up to speed so that it can hit more constant power across the whole thing. But yeah, it's not as big of an issue as it used to be.
Yeah, I get you there, Jabra. He said, yeah. Pies ain't square either here. They're round here. And cornbread's usually round too.
Now, do you consider an apple crisp to be a pie?
No.
Okay,
No, that's like a
because those
cake.
those
That's like
tend
a
to be
snack
square.
cake thing.
Snack cake.
No, yeah, it was like a snack cake or something. That's those things they used to give you in school. Those little square ones. All right, what's this?
Robert, one thing I would check that's the common culprit here is if it's a longer burn. A lot of modern computers have power settings on their USB cables and their USB ports. And so you want to go into your power settings for your computer and uncheck allowing your USB ports to go to sleep because that interrupts the communication between the laptop and the laser. So that's the most common issue around this one, and the first thing I would check.
Yep. And if you're not real computer savvy, you may want to look at that video right there, and I kind of walk you through the steps and what to look for in Windows 10. I think is what I used. Windows 10 or 11, which are the same thing basically. Anytime I use fiddle, yeah, I don't mess with overscan either. How many years do you have as a LEO? Let's see. Started in 1999, so that's 23. Technically, for just a little while longer. 24.
Depends on when you started. You'd be
24. Well, I took a 6-month sabbatical when I changed jobs one time. So it's technically I have got, and I know because I just looked at it the other day. I have got 2 years and 5 months remaining until I have my time to retire. So as far as work years, I'm at like 22 and a half in the retirement system. But you know, there was a 6-month period there where I was just part time and I didn't work full time, and so I didn't get to count those 6 months or a year or whatever it was. But yeah, since 1999, since October of '99, and I'm like 2.5 years from hanging it up. That's going to be so nice.
So yeah, you've got about the same time as I do in my my IT stuff, but they don't let me retire as early as they do for law enforcement. So
Yeah, well, we get those stress years, so I actually I can check out after 25 years of service, and I get credit for 30, because they call it stress years, which trust me, there is stress associated with the job,
yeah,
and it's getting even worse. I'm gonna be honest with you. At the rate they're going, if they don't do something pretty soon, either they're gonna have to start paying officers like they would doctors and lawyers, or they're not gonna have anybody. Because I mean, it's getting harder and harder for us to recruit people. The benefits they keep cutting the benefits, but society in general has required more of guys. Used to you could get away with being a little rough around the edges. If you were just everybody in the community knew, hey, that guy's the one that's he's rough, but not no more. I mean, you can't do stuff like that, and because if you do, you're either going to wind up sued or in jail or It's ruined. So it's a different world, definitely a different world. Yeah, retire. Yes, I will be retiring. That to be honest with you guys, I was actually going to school to do IT stuff. Uh, to get my see, I did computer forensics now since 2010. So I did computer forensics and internet crimes against children, which is online investigations for child predators, kind of like the to catch a predator type stuff. Did that since 2010, on and off, and decided I was going to go into IT. Went to school, but school's just not for me. I've gotten too old, too ornery, too impatient with instructors, and so I decided to just scratch that and find something else that I could do. And so I've got like one more semester to have my degree in information technologies and networking, and I just let it go. So, well, Chris, I don't get any days off now. I'm out here till like 9, 11 o'clock every night. So I don't know that I don't, I can't physically stay awake any longer than what I am now. So it's got to get better. It's got to. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Would be handy to be able to cut and paste. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. I don't guess you can paste paragraph formatting in LightBurn because it's just not built into the software. Now, I'll tell you what you can do. You can actually paste it into, let's say, PowerPoint or Publisher, and then save that text as an image, and then bring it in the LightBurn and trace it, and you ain't got to retype it. Uh, because there is actually that is a possibility. I don't know how well it would trace, but you could do it that way. Save some trouble, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to limit your editability of it, and it might not be as crisp as the original font, but that's definitely, if it's a good enough image and just the way you want it, that's definitely doable.
Yep. Ron, I pretty much stay moving. I'm like a shark. I can't sit still. I've been that way since I was a kid. According to the doctors, I have ADHD and should have been put on medication. But my dad was he was the type that he didn't think ADHD or whatever. What did they call it back then? Hyperactivity disorder. That's what they called it back then. He said I wasn't hyperactive. I just like to work. So he always gave me tasks to do. Uh, we had this big pile of rocks outside our house, and like I can remember telling my dad that I was bored, and he'd say, "We're gonna move that pile of rocks from this corner of the house to the other corner." And so that was kind of like every day, you know. And I've just been that way my entire life. And working law enforcement, you have to learn how to live off of what you make. And so for the past 20-ish years, I've had a minimum of 2 jobs. At times, I've had 3. So I'm used to always being busy. And during COVID, when all the extra work dried up, it's actually when I started doing woodworking because I got bored, and that's what led to the Clack Shack. The Clack Shack was I guess you will say was caused by the lockdown because I got bored because nobody was having weddings, nobody was having these extra security details. People you were cutting back on their manpower because everybody was scared to call the police because those guys showing up at your house breathing on you. So, work kind of downticked and I got bored. And so this spun up. But yeah, it's weird how things go. See, I don't get that, Beaver. That's where I get in trouble. See, it's hard for me. I could, even if I didn't have a badge or even if I didn't have a gun, if I see something like that happening, I'm stopping it however I can stop it. So that's that. People that do that as a law enforcement officer those are the people that fall through the cracks that just want to that just want a paycheck, and they're a disgrace in my opinion, and shouldn't wear a badge. And I'm not saying they don't exist; they do exist. But luckily, where I'm at, we don't. We don't have. I don't think we have any of those. Small town, you weed those guys out quick. The Brandy Barn. I've been trying to get her to get in the lives, guys, and she sits and watches, but she won't come in here and talk. So we'll see. Maybe one day Steve can get his wife and I can get Brandy, and they can talk about being married to guys that are obsessed with lasers. Well, thank you there, Ron. I've never been, like I said, I've always had the opposite problem. Is I kind of have to make sure I don't go overboard protecting people. That's my biggest thing, is because sometimes that they say everybody has a fight or flight. I don't have a flight. All I have is a fight. So and sometimes it can get a little overwhelming, and you have to make a conscious effort to slow it down. That's always been my problem. She said you're going to just go shopping. Well, now, she did actually get in the video that I did the other day about us going to the Strawberry Festival. She actually did get on camera with that one, which shocked me that she let me do it. Because I was like, hey, I'm going to be videotaping this, right? She's like, okay. So I was a little shocked, but I'll share that link. If y'all want to watch it after the live's over with, you can go watch it and see. She's done really well, and I told her she's almost like made for TV, but she's still not having it. She still doesn't want to be a part of everyday videos.
Well, she's probably figuring it's still just a fad.
Yeah. Well, any questions, guys? It's 2 hours, and I can't keep Steve up too late. He's still recovering from his trip. I'm feeling pretty good.
This air swing of going back to work.
Yeah, no doubt. $50, and Anthony, let me explain something to you, Anthony. I have made $45 an hour before. Do you remember Hurricane Sandy? Do you remember what was the last hurricane that hit Panama City? The last one, and then they hit New Orleans, and then the hurricane that hit Houston. I made $45 an hour there, but I went to a disaster area where looters were running rampant and did a security detail. That's the kind of crap I had to do to try to make extra money. That's what bought my sawmill and helped build the Clack Shack originally, was going and working those details. I was actually doing security in Greenwich Village and Long Island during Hurricane Sandy. There was no electricity. The power was out. There was flood water everywhere. And I was living in a retail facility to make sure that nobody looted it. And I made $45 an hour. But then I came back home and started making 18 again. So, but no, law enforcement is underpaid. If anything, I will say they're underpaid. Now, our agency where I work, they're really, really trying to get us up to a workable wage, and they're doing a good job at it. But it's still not enough to have people beating the door down and come to work there. Questions, comments, concerns, anything, guys? It's 2 hours and 3 minutes. So, like I said, Steve's got to go take his Geritol. So let me ask this question. So is the video quality better for those of y'all that's been with us for a while? It better be, because that was a nice little chunk they charged me extra to upgrade to 1080p. So somebody please tell me it.
Your new software seems to be breaking my camera.
No, that's your cheapness from not buying that battery is what that is.
Well, I have the cable that normally works. I just don't know where it went. So I guess I'll get another one.
Yeah, cool. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Jim. Appreciate you, Anthony. Glad it does. Like I said, me and Steve have been talking about it for a while. But guys, I mean, let's face it, software is not free. It's not cheap. So that was one of those decisions that I wanted to make sure that we were going to, we were going to continue doing it before I went and dropped a bunch of money on it. So is Dave's beard better? Or just the fact that it. Well, I've been letting it grow out, guys, because you know Brian likes beards and he's always talking about Steve. So I figured I'd grow mine out and see what I can do. See if I can get it a little bit longer. Plus, it's that time of the year around here to where I'm gonna be out at the sawmill, so I got to have that sawmill look.
It's a natural filter.
Yeah, and it keeps the sun off your chin too. So when you got your hat on, like it's shaded, and then groups on social media you can recommend for beginners. Yes, the Clack Shack and Ventari's Workshop are two really good ones. If you're trying to learn lasers, YouTube is your friend. Now, I'm going to say this: not all YouTube channels are created equal. Mine and Steve's channel, they're not exactly the same. LA Hobby Guy's got some really good detailed stuff on like LightBurn related stuff. His style's a little different than mine and Steve's, but he knows his stuff. The guy knows LightBurn inside and out. I watch his videos when I'm having trouble figuring something out. So, LA Hobby Guy, I would say, if you're trying to learn LightBurn, is going to be your go-to guy for that. My wife, I've put her on him because she's trying to figure out how to, operate it. And I've told her, I was like, I mean, Rich is he's been doing it for a while and he knows his stuff. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and he also has a forum attached to his group as well that has some good information on a variety of lasers and some test files you can run and such. So if you're wanting to learn general stuff, that he would probably be the best just around LightBurn and some of those things outside of our channels, of course. But yeah, like you said, a lot of the other groups tend to be machine specific. So then if you have that machine, it can be good, but I don't know. Sometimes, I've sent things to Clack and he's sent things to me as well. Sometimes in these groups, you get a lot of, you got to weed through the information, and you get some good information, you get some bad. And as a beginner, it's tough to know what is good and bad. So that's what I caution about some of the Facebook groups is there's a lot of people who have learned ways to do things that might work for them, but might not be the best. It's easy to learn bad habits when you're self-taught. So I would definitely broaden and cross-reference any information you get to make sure it's consistent. So,
and if you're watching Clack Shack videos, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there, guys. I don't always know the best way. I don't always know every single way of doing something, but there's one thing you can guarantee is I'm not lying to you when I tell you something. And the way that I tell you is the way that I do it. And I do a lot of engraving. I do a lot of cutting. I do a lot of stuff. I'm not going to do a video on something that I've never done. And I try to make sure that anytime I do a video on something, it's y'all can actually see it being done. So if I'm ever wrong, guys, I promise you it's not going to be the first time, but it's not that I'm trying to mess you up or, trying to give you misinformation. Sometimes I just, I mess up. I'm like all you guys. I am still learning. I got my laser about a year and a half ago, but now I have, like I said, I run a business with mine here locally. I sell a lot of stuff. I build my designs. So I've learned a lot out of necessity because it gets expensive messing up. And you learn really quick that this is a bad idea. Let me do it this way. So most of mine is self-taught. Some of the, click this, click that. Some of that stuff I do have to go reach out and learn from other places. LightBurn actually has a YouTube channel and a web page. It's got some pretty in-depth tutorial stuff on it. It's probably not as interactive as Steve is, or not Steve, but Rich is, or myself, or Steve. But there's some good information to be got there. So, but Yeah, let me go back to where's that? Where's that, Brian? Brian, I had to lay off of the sound effects because I was hurting Steve's ears, but I have adjusted everything now so that I'm not hurting Steve's ears. But I'll try to get better about the noises. I forget. Y'all got me doing 10 things at one time. So yeah, Chris, I don't think I've ever told anybody something that didn't work. I mean, I can't promise you there's not a better way. But if I do find a better way, normally I'm pretty good about dropping a video telling you, hey, I found a better way. So, Steve, what are you doing? Steve? Oh,
What?
you had the whole max headroom thing going on for a minute there.
Oh, sorry. Just adjusting.
Oh,
But
let's
yeah,
see.
and the other, I mean, I say that with the, there's multiple ways to do things. Not, and as you say, it's not always the, um, no one way is perfect for everyone. And so, take things from multiple people and don't be afraid to do some of your own playing and testing. That's where you learn a lot through experience. You learn best through sometimes learning the ways not to do it. So,
All right, Brian. I don't know who told you this. I ain't got that kind of skills with a green screen. First of all, that is actually drone video outside my house, and Steve can vouch for me. He actually got to walk the clack heel over here, as I like to call it. But you can, if you don't believe it, Brian, do this: go to Google Earth or Google Streets and Google the Clack Shack and go to Street View and fixed. It's settled right there. But no, that is actually my shop. I do have a green screen. It's still in the box over here because I was going to do some cool pictures with lasers and stuff like that. But I don't have time. I get distracted easy. So, but no, that is my shop. That is my front yard. Like I said, you can go to Google Street View and look at the yard. Maybe, hopefully, it's the grass is cut then. But uh, particularly the last video about my main project names. But no, there's no green screen. That's actually my drone. And the way that I do that video is I actually take the drone and start like underneath the awning, and I just hit rear throttle and up as hard as I can and let it go up and back away from us. But yeah. Hello, Costa Rica. Well, Brian, you can tell them, hey, next time they argue with you, take them to Google Earth and pull it up. Like I said, you can search the Clack Shack and it'll show you my address. It's 2175 County Road 24. It'll show it to you. You can
yeah.
go to
And
Street View and you can look from Street View and you can see the front of my shop. Now there's a lot more crap on the front porch right now because I've got my trailer full of insulation, and so I'm using it as dry storage for insulation. And so I've got the portable Clack Shack on the front porch and everything right now. So it's a little junky right now, but that's actually my shop.
and inside though, that he does have the don't tread on me flag. That's just off to the side. You don't necessarily see it in the live streams a lot. So, but that part's in there.
Hold on, hold on.
It's legit.
Hold on. Hang on. Let me just get the other camera out. Let me swap it up here. Let me swap it. All right, let me get my overhead camera. There we go.
James, it's actually a DJI Mavic. Both Clack and I have those. So
See there. Oh, look, it's my TV. And if I can turn this around here, that's the new enclosure. But no, there's no green. I mean, I do have a green screen, but it's literally still in the plastic wrapper over there. Never used it. But no, my stuff is legit. So if anybody tells you that it ain't, they're obviously mistaken. And you can ask any of my local folks. And Steve, like I said, Steve got to come and hang out. Now it does look cleaner. I'm going to throw this out here. My wife pointed out to me. The shop looks a heck of a lot cleaner with my camera set up the way it is. But guys, like I said, I study and I learn different things. And let me show you. I play with my camera settings. So it's actually, see, I've got the ISO turned way down on the camera. So it looks cleaner than it really is. It's really dusty in here. I can't believe somebody thinks I just think I faked my backdrops. Hey, that's pretty awesome though. It means they're pretty cool, and they thought they had to be fake. Yeah, I can't help that, Jeff. As far as the post being delayed, that's restream. Yeah, restream.
Well, that could just be if he's on a long buffer delay. Sometimes refreshing the live stream will get you caught up and sooner. So
I wonder if I can still go live with the drone. I'll have to do that one day. I'll just do a live fly around my neighborhood. Yeah, Brandy said it. Yes, it's the shack. But anyway, guys, it's getting late here, and some of you guys, especially California guys, is behind. See, it ain't even math. West Coast time is faster, right?
yeah.
Or does it go the other way?
So it's 7 p.m. out on the West Coast. It's 10 p.m. out on the East Coast.
Okay, yeah. See, anything to do with numbers, guys, I'm terrible at it. I noticed that about 3 months ago you went from more bluish color to more yellow. Yeah, Brian. That has absolutely nothing to. Matter of fact, look right here. Let me show you something. That has actually nothing to do with anything except for I've got some really cool cameras now, and I've learned how to adjust them. Because I'm gonna swap you over to the factory camera in this computer. Okay, that's the factory camera that's in my laptop, guys. Now that's the Elgato Stream Cam, and I bought it because I wanted my videos to look a little better, and me not look like not look like I just jumped off the plane from Transylvania. So give me a little more color. And I did add some 4000K lights in the shop to kind of help with that, and I've got the light set to 4000K. So yeah, that's just me getting better at photography, guys. That ain't it's not fake. It's kind of like Steve, you know.
Fake?
I have never been to his house, but I can look at the background and tell that it's legit. Steve's actually in a basement
I'm not in a
somewhere.
basement. I'm in my shop.
Oh, you in the shop today?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
See?
Yeah,
Big
he's in the shop
airplane,
today. That's bad. I'm used to you being in the basement. That's what threw me. You said you had it. I told you it was
table
different.
saw.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a
Yeah.
giveaway.
Table saw, bandsaw, piles of
See,
wood.
mine's not that neat. Mine's nowhere near that neat. Oh, but yeah. See, look over here. Whoa, wait a minute. Wrong camera. Hang on. Let me take this guy off here. See, well, I just broke it, guys. Hey, believe it or not, this is actually that Atom Stack camera. So it's doing a pretty good job. I've been using it as a document camera. Look over here in this corner. That's my junk corner. That's the corner that never gets showed in the video, guys. This is some behind the scenes stuff right here. That area there, that area over there, I try to keep hidden most of the time because that's where all the junk's at. I haven't got to that corner yet. I started back here and I have worked my way around this way and I've got to the front door. And so I got to do the rest of it, but I just hadn't got a chance yet. But it's real, it's legit, and the video's just gotten better. But I am glad that I've gotten so good at my video, and now that people think it's faked, that's awesome. That means I'm getting better. My shop is 24 feet this way and 20 feet that way, and a few inches. When I built it, I wasn't that great at building large things, so there's probably a 2 or 3 inch difference. I'm just being honest. There is. I mean, I'm sure somewhere it's going to be 3 or 4 inches out. I mean, I built this thing on $1,000 budget 15 years ago as a pole barn, and so yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
you can answer the next one. You're actually better at editing than I am.
Video editing. I've been using Adobe Premiere Rush, and then if I really need to do something fancy, I'll dump it into Premiere. But I try to keep it as simple as possible. Um, Honestly, I know of some big channels. They simply use their iPhone and iMovie right on that. And the biggest thing they do is they get a Bluetooth microphone that gets good audio into it, and they'll do a lot of editing on that. So a lot of it's more about the lighting and the content and the audio than the post processing. So
Agreed. Yeah, I use Premiere Rush now. When I first started, I actually used a GoPro. I had a GoPro Hero, and I took and transferred the video to my iPhone via the wireless connection, and then I edited on iMovie and uploaded it straight from the phone. But now I use my Sony ZV-1 for my long form films and videos, and then I've got the DJI Pocket that I use when I go out in public and walk around and all that. But you can always count on this guy because you're always going to have this. So there are occasions to where this is what you get. But if I'm going to intently make a video, I'm either going to take my ZV or I'm going to take my DJI. But I am using currently right now, I am running Elgato Camera Hub. I'm running Voice Mod, Stream Deck controller, and I'm outputting that to Streamlabs, and then Streamlabs is outputting it into Restream. Yes, guys, there's a lot that can go wrong and all that. But anyway, it's enough about all that. But we can do a video one day on how we make video. How about that? That would work. If you haven't already, guys, Steve's like, I don't want to do a video. I want to make a video. I don't even like editing.
That's the worst part.
Hey, it is. It's time consuming, and then you always like mess up, or you leave something in there that you should have taken out. But if you haven't already, guys, go check out Laser Engraver community page, and also don't forget to subscribe to myself and Steve as well. We do have a bit of a partnership going here, guys, and these companies, like, we kind of advocate for each other so that we can give you guys the two different perspectives into whatever machine it is. Steve's kind of the analytical, like, numbers guy, and I'm more the just, nose to the grindstone, does it work, torture test it type guy. I do create tools and useful little, hacks for these machines sometimes. But the more likes and subscribes and follows we get, the better. Steve's link. Steve, let me find Steve's link. Go over to YouTube, and it is Inventory's Workshop, but I'm going to drop the link in the chat so that y'all guys can see it, because I think it still got to where, like, it's not letting people see each other's. Let me find it here.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes when, like, I drop a link, your guys can't see it, and when you drop a link, my guys can't see it. So we're gonna drop that in the chat right here. But there is Steve's YouTube, and he also has a Facebook page, guys. So you can search that out and find him as well. If you join the laser engraving community page, we drop announcements for the live and stuff like that in there as well. It's a good place to share something with the group or myself or Steve. You can tag us in a post if you've got a question. That does allow you in the Facebook group. It does allow you to share videos and pictures, which YouTube doesn't always afford you that opportunity. So that's one more benefit to being a member of that group, is being able to send us multimedia type messages. But there is Steve's Facebook page as well. Whew, that's a lot. I'm tired, guys. I'm tired.
Yeah, it's getting late.
Hey, Steve.
I'll bring a good stream.
Hey, Brian. I promise you, Brian, now that I've got the volume to where Steve doesn't jump out of his chair when I hit it. Wait a minute. Oh, it's too late. Now that I've got the volume fixed to where Steve doesn't, like, hit his head on the ceiling when it goes off, I'll start trying to use my noises a little more. But yeah, I've got some pretty cool ones here, and I just got to get around to using them. But Oh my goodness. Oh, wait a minute. Hello, everybody. May May is in the house. This is the lady right here, guys, that has like been working my rear end off this week. So she's having an event here in Clanton, and she's got like 60 people from out of state coming to her event for her channel. But go check out May May. This is my friend May May. If you hadn't, if you never heard of her, go check her out. Some of you folks that craft or your wife's craft, she's got some pretty cool stuff. She does sell glue and all kinds of stuff. She's actually going to get me some glues together to test, and I'm going to test them here in the shack. If I find some really cool glues, I'll link them in the videos and stuff so you guys can order them from her. She's a local business, and as always, she supports me, and so I support her as well. But she's got like 400,000 now. She's big. She was my inspiration. She's the one that actually told me I should, like, instead of just playing with YouTube, actually try to do something with it. So if it wasn't for her, there wouldn't be a Clack Shack probably. I will be doing a little dropping in at her event though. Yeah, she's at 360 subscribers. So y'all check her out, especially if your wife or significant other likes doing crafting and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, that's awesome. Good thing I didn't say anything bad about her, huh? Well, she's not really big into lasers, but if I can talk her into it, guys, I would get her in here because there are things we've actually found with me and May May talking that there's a lot of things that, like with lasers, she does a lot with crickets, the cutter machines. And there's a lot of similarities in the file type and, being able to create from a digital file. So me and her talk shop about that stuff a lot. But most of hers is like making cards and doing paper crafts, stuff like that. Now they do the things that I make for them. They do like, I guess, paint or put wallpaper looking stuff on there. Brian, as soon as they're public, I'll share it with y'all. But it's kind of a surprise thing, and I'm not supposed to let it out too much. So, yep, we had dinner at Three Amigos tonight where my ears burning. Y'all better not be talking bad about me.
Well, it doesn't have to be bad; just has to be talking about you.
Well, yeah, but you never know. It's a small world around here. But I'll try to do some more stuff. I've got some pictures, some videos I've done with May May where we run into each other in town. And guys, I don't know if she's going to be there. I don't want to promise that out. But anyway, we've got an event coming up, Peach Jam, and then we've got another one coming up in September, and she might be there. I don't know. I know I'll be there. But anyway, guys, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, and Steve is overdue for his Geritol. So we're going to let it go. And y'all have a good one. And until next time, be safe. Have a good day. And if you hadn't already, hit those subscribe buttons, guys. And we'll catch you next time. Steve, I'm going to leave it with you. I'm through talking.
That's all you got. Another good week. Another good week. I'm glad to be back. A lot of things I got to get caught up in the shop. So keep an eye on the channel. Keep an eye on the Facebook pages. And we will see you all again next week.
Later.